Well, great morning, everyone. Let's start off today with the wisdom from the universe. Now, I've pulled cards, kind of sat with it for a second to see what is the message that it's bringing us. And it starts out with patience, okay? Sitting there and looking out over the ocean and just kind of ruminating about things and finding, looking at underneath of it all, your mental attitudes that you've had about things, very strong mental attitudes that you've maybe believed for many years, and finding that above it, a doorway. So let's look and see what this is about these strong attitudes. Because in the center of it, we have the legacy. Now, the legacy, these are things that perhaps one had grown up with as a child, and one has outgrown them because we see this doll in disrepair. It's cracked open and all of these things are flying out. But behind it, behind all these dark birds and dark thoughts that are flying around, we see an ability for transformation. Okay, so there is a doorway for transformation. But these are things in your childhood that you were handed. Okay, and they are above it things that are not beneficial. Okay, the lies, the cons, the deceptions that one has believed maybe for many, many years, and now one is looking for a way to be transported to something better mentally. And so that's what we're looking at now. And so going forward, it's again another card. Now, I didn't know we had two cards of patience here, but here we have patience again. That it takes sitting with things, that behind it you have mountains of obstructions and sometimes feel like you're in this cave and that you're there and having these difficult times. And so what is it that one is to look at? This is about looking at perhaps your religious upbringing. You feel like these things are not serving you. That you feel kind of locked out now of organized religion. It's kind of left you flat. You feel like you're kind of beaten up by it, perhaps. That you, it's not serving you. And we see the rise of these things now, this white nationalist Christianity, etc. And we see that so many of the organized religions have left people flat. They leave them out in the cold, okay? So it's time, perhaps, to go beyond what's on the surface and look much deeper. Because what this legacy that one has grown up with, perhaps some antiquated things in the church, such as churches one of the Pauline, rather than Christianity, rather than Christ's teachings. And Christ did not come here to be a religion. He did not come to be turned into a religion. He came to reform Judaism. He came to give them truth, to free them up out of these antiquated belief systems. Okay, so maybe you are at the point of looking deeper at the things you were handed to as a child and told, but it's just at this point in time, again, leaving you flat. And now that you feel perhaps religion has let you down, And so you feel like you're out in the cold. But it's time again to maybe look deeper at the heart of what's being given. Look at deeper at the nourishing parts. Now we see the lotuses, they're on the surface, right? And you see the beauty of them. But don't forget, they start out in the mud and they get their nourishment from the mud. So it's saying we have to look deeper and get the nourishment of the things that are beneficial. So I say, if you've grown up in a traditional church and it's leaving you flat because they've left the teachings of Christ and they're really going more on, again, Old Testament stuff that he came to blow out of the water, that he came to reform, and they're on that hellfire and damnation, which is not what he came to teach. Okay, so looking at the teachings, the actual teachings of Christ, and leave the ones like Paul that wanted to bring other stuff into the church, the mentality of the day, the misogynist ideology, which they wound up putting in the modern Bible, okay? So it might be time to look at those things and let that go. Let these ones about, women should be subservient to men, you shouldn't talk in church, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that man is the head of woman, and that, all of this nonsense. Well, they forget the other part of that like Christ loved the church, the man should love his wife. But they don't do that. They use it as a browbeating thing that you're subservient to me and that's it. So again, it's a time to look at those things that perhaps one was brought up with in traditional religious church, and time to separate the wheat from the chaff. And that takes being patient and sitting with things and looking at it. It's not that, absolutely Christ was who he said he was, and he came to bring this liberation. He said, fear not. He said, embrace others. Fear not. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It was all about love and compassion and growth and acceptance. But we've had the religious that went from, now don't forget also that when he was on the cross, the temple veil rent. It tore in two, which means the Holy of Holies is open to everyone. It's not a purview only of the priesthood, okay? Back at that time, only the priests, they said, had access to God. Well, everyone's got access, okay? So you take the best of it and then you leave the rest so that you can go back into having that comfort, back into having that knowledge, that wisdom. Pick up the Bible again and read exactly the parts in red, what Christ was saying. Get his teachings and let go of the ones like Paul, Saul of Tarsus, who was a tax collector that had this miraculous vision. But then, he was not with Christ directly. And so he brought in a lot of nonsense, a lot of the repression and things of the day, and started skewing things. So it's about liberation, it's about freedom, it's about love, it's about compassion. Those are the things that Christ came to teach. And so one of the big messages he always said was, don't fear. Fear not, don't fear. And to go forward. okay, to go forward in life and do the right thing. Do to others like you would have them do. Okay, be the person that you would like others to be. Okay, be that. So I'm going to leave this here. So today's message from the universe is say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Sit with it and go back and revisit what was it, the teachings that were given. What are the teachings that can benefit you? And, it's time to get rid of the things that are not serving, the things that are repressive, that they've tried to bring in to mitigate the true teachings of Christ. So look deeper. It's saying, have patience. There's a doorway. You want to get to calmer waters. You want to get to better things. Then look at the legacy. Look at stuff you were handed as a child and belief systems you were given that are not serving any longer. And it's time to move forward and look deeper than what's on the surface. Go to the depth and look at it, and then you can move forward. Okay? See where some of these teachings have left you out in the cold, where you felt abused, you felt used, abused, and because there is light there is the light. Okay, so go to the light and use the things of light, compassion, love, etc., to move forward to a better frame of mental framework than perhaps this hard restriction that you were perhaps raised with. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you online.